Wendy, what has been your experience with some of these current trends? What is your perspective on that?
Yeah, thanks for asking, Micah. I remember when I first got started and we were in businesses and working in, especially in corporate, there were so often that back in the 90s where we were the only women in the room. And so to look at what's going on now and to see women leaving in droves, and these are women at all levels within the organization, it's like this big brain drain that's just leaving. And I think it's alarming because in many ways, it feels like it's setting us back 20 years. And if we don't do something about it soon and companies don't start looking at this as a competitive advantage to be able to keep women, we're gonna lose so much ground that we have gained. And so, yeah, I think this really is a pretty big issue for our time right now.
Yeah. Thank you, Wendy. So Lisa, can you speak to, your experience? I know you have experience when women leave the workplace. Can you talk about what that is like and what it means for companies?
We give up something of ourselves. I see. So not only are we losing women from the workforce, but it makes me wonder what's happening to their personal lives, or those that are trying to hang on to their jobs and manage their children's schoolwork at the same time, that they're giving up on their personal care, their personal health, their fitness, their wellness, their personal interests, whatever that might be. So then it's obvious they say, I can't do this anymore. Something's got to change. And so then they shift to something different. And if anything, businesses would benefit by learning what is it that women, and maybe it's particularly mothers, but probably not just limited to mothers, what do we have within us that allows us to expand our capacity? Because that's often one of the strategic priorities of most businesses. How do we do more with less? Well, let's look at how these women today are doing more with less, and let's replicate that. But let's replicate it in a way that's regenerative and not extracting, right? So often we're trying to get more from our people, and women are giving, 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 since we're talking about women. And so how do we partner with women, bring all their brilliance and their expertise and wisdom, leadership skills into the workplace in a way that they're supported and it's regenerative, where they get more energy, so then they have more energy to give at work and at home. That's the type of leadership that we're promoting at Continuum.
So Wendy, I want to turn to you.
Yeah.
What do we do now? Like, what do we do? How do we rebuild? How do we work to support women and be regenerative in that way that Lisa talked about?
Well, I think this is a challenging situation, but I think we're at a point in time where we have an opportunity to build back differently. The trends we're starting to see is that there's some of these larger companies that are doing things and really looking at their whole benefit packages and looking at how they could provide childcare. Childcare is one of the biggest challenges right now. We know people that have been working with a company that's in Cary, North Carolina called SAS. You may be familiar with it, but they've been ahead of this trend for a really long time and have childcare actually right on site. And so I think as we start to go to a more blended kind of work environment, that might be another thing that we need to start looking at, is offering childcare as a benefit. The other benefit that we're finding that people are starting to look at is, how do we build in flexibility of work schedules for parents to make sure that they can more easily continue to contribute their best skills and their best talents to their organizations, and at the same time take care of their children.
There's actually a leader that we know at SAS who has moved up into a higher level of leadership responsibility as an executive there. Her children are teenagers now. I was talking to her this summer in the midst of COVID, and she said, we're not having a retention issue because we're talking about this issue because of what SAS has already had in place for so many years that supports the family. Because when the family's supported, the worker can come to work more resourced, more available, more creative, more innovative. And then she, as a woman, said she doubted she would still be with the company or in the level of leadership that she would be if she didn't have that kind of support. Not just childcare, but they have laundry services or workout stations, yoga, massage. Basic needs were taken care of, and then she could flourish at home and at work. Yeah. And I want to give a shout out for men. We have for the dads out there. We also have several clients who are also getting in there. They're getting in the game, and they're partnering with their their spouse to take care of the children. We have one very senior leader. He puts it on his Outlook calendar, the times that he needs to be with his children. But then what happens is he's working at night. And then that's having an impact on the business. And we see lots of women doing the same thing.
We're just starting to break ground. I mean, I think there's lots of room for innovation here. The thing is, we got to start the conversation.
Yeah.